on January 21st, Friday at 6:30 p.m., 7 area high schools and middle school bands will be performing at Cleveland High School. They will be joined by soul and funk trombonist Fred Wesley under the direction of my guest, Cleveland High School and Hosford Middle School jazz band director, performer, composer, educator, and world traveler, Fresno, Bogota, Rio de Janeiro, Beijing, all figure into this man's resume. Wynton Marsalis, Jimmy Heath, Kenny Burrell, Phil Woods, David Sanborn, Frank West are just a few of the performers that he has worked with. Oh, and did I mention a master's degree in jazz composition and arranging at Howard University in Washington, D.C.? Welcome, Kenney Polson.
Thank you very much.
Tell us what you are doing currently in town. Set up for us, essentially, what you do here in Portland, Oregon.
I'm teaching at Cleveland High School and at Hosford Middle School, doing the jazz band at Hosford Middle School. And at Cleveland, I'm doing music appreciation, 2 jazz bands, and a symphonic band. And it's really cool having a good time there.
Symphonic band, too.
Symphonic band, yes. I do classical music also.
Wow. How did you come to Cleveland?
Well, I came to Cleveland. I had a student that was interested in what I was doing. At the time, I had been teaching over at Arts and Communication Magnet Academy, and I have a son who's a drummer over there. I was teaching over there, and then they reconfigured the way they do things over there, and found myself without a job, which in a lot of ways was kind of cool because I was able to get back on my horn. And then one of the students who knew all about that, 2 of them actually, told their parents, who were deeply involved in Cleveland High School at the time. They were freshmen. And they sort of talked me into going for the job, and here I am.
And you took over Hosford in an interesting circumstance. Tell us what's your motivation for taking over Hosford? That was actually quite a generous thing you did there.
Yeah, it's very important that the kids are able to continue playing music. They needed somebody to come in and help them, with the jazz leg of it. I found out that they hadn't played music in a while, and I was like, wait a minute, those kids, they're just like anybody else. We want them to be able to play also. So I went in as a volunteer and enjoyed working with the kids.
Tell us about this event that is taking place on January 21st. How did it come about, and what created this for you? What's the idea behind it?
The idea behind it, actually, it's a fundraiser for all the groups that are involved. There's a total of 7 groups involved. And last year we had it over at Cleveland, and actually it was started by Cynthia Plank. And they were doing it at Grant. And then Grant didn't want it anymore. And so she asked me, did I want to do it at Cleveland? I was like, of course, why not? Why would anyone not want to do something like that? And so it was a fundraiser. And last year we had the Portland Jazz Orchestra there as our guests, which I thought was wonderful. And then Cynthia and I began to talk about it after it was over. You want to recap to see how things went and everything. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if the kids had an opportunity to play with a professional musician, and instead of playing their thing, sit down and watch somebody else? Why don't we get somebody in here that they can actually have the opportunity to play with? And so that's how the whole idea came up. And she asked me if I knew anybody. I'm like, yeah, I know a lot of people. And so I thought of my good friend Fred Wesley, and here we are. Yeah, the schools involved are Beaumont Middle School. She has 2 bands there. One of the groups are called Bobcats, and I think the other ones are called Ambassadors. And then there's Greg McKelvey's groups out at Battleground. And he has the Chief Untouched middle school band, and they're really good. And he also has 2 jazz band at the high school, at Battleground High School. And so I think there's an advanced band and their intermediate band are going to play. And then the last group is Cleveland High School.
And tell me about your relationship with Fred Wesley. I know he comes from quite a quite a background. He was offered a job by James Brown and couldn't turn it down. Eventually, kind of it wore out for him, but he couldn't turn it down. And in fact, don't you have some experience with James Brown also?
A little bit. My main thing has been with Fred. You know, Fred and I have been friends, the whole band actually. You know, guys in the band, and we've known each other for a long time. I think I was in high school when I met Fred, so we go way back. I mean, we're talking a gang of years here.
And he plays trombone.
That's right.
What is your instrument, by the way?
Saxophone. Alto's my main.
Oh.
But you know how it is. If you want to work, you got to play it all. But I usually try to talk people on allowing me to play alto with them.
Yeah, well, I did a lot of Jackie McLean today, so it
there you go.
It sounded good.
Yeah, his son Renee's a killer player too.
No,
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have a couple albums out too, I understand.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I have one album. The first one that I actually did, CD, was recorded down in Brazil. And I was very fortunate enough to be able to hang out with a lot of the heavyweights down there. So I have a lot of those guys helping me out on that particular CD. That one's called Paradise.
You got asked to be music coordinator for an international school in Bogota. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's how you spent a couple of years there, and that's how you worked your way over to Rio.
Absolutely.
There's a natural bridge there, I guess.
Yeah, it's a wonderful bridge, actually. It worked for me anyway.
And what's your other album?
My other one is called Serendipity. And in that particular project, I wanted to do something. I know a lot of the guys at the time, I was doing smooth jazz. They always say that, oh, this is a blend of R&B music and smooth jazz. Well, I figured, well, a lot of them didn't quite make the mark. And I felt like if I was going to try to make that kind of blend, that it'd be important to get some of the cats that are big in R&B involved in it, you know. So that's what I did. So there's guys on there from Kool and the Gang, War, Tower of Power, Fred's on there. There's a lot of cats involved in it. And we just had a good time doing it. Michael Henderson is singing one of his tunes on there. Valentine Love is on there. It's just great. We just have a lot of fun with it.
Going back to Brazil, tell us the story about Antonio Carlos Jobim.
Well, we call him Tom Jobim, and the whole country call him Tom. Nobody really call him Antonio Carlos in Brazil because we just call him Tom. That's his nickname, you know. And we lived in the same neighborhood, and I used to go down to the market and see him hanging out with his buddies and 11 o'clock in the morning drinking beer. I don't know how they were able to do that time of day, but it was really cool hanging out with him. And there's a lot of other famous musicians that lived in Rio also, besides Tom Jobim.
And then you came back to the States and you decided a little more education was in your future.
Yeah, well, what happened was my son was born. I had a little baby. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to stand up and be somebody now. Got a bachelor's degree. Well, maybe I should go back to school. So I figured if I was going to go back to school, I wanted something different, and I wanted something that was more towards what I wanted to get into and was already into, in fact, you know. Wanted to stretch that imagination and kind of a quest for knowledge, you know. And so I decided, hey, let's do an East Coast thing this time, because I had done my undergrad degree at Fresno State, which was really cool. And I wanted a different experience, especially after spending some time in South America. I had already been there for 5 years by then, you know. And so Howard University and I chose one another. It was really cool. It was a wonderful experience. One of the best things I've ever done, and I'm very proud of that move.
It just kind of it just spoke to you, and did you know someone that was going there? Or?
Well, I knew of people who had gone there. You know, when you have a university that has a history of having people like Roberta Flack, Donnie Hathaway, uh, Benny Golson, and people like that. I mean, you can't help but kind of gravitate to that and at least try to find out, if nothing else. And then when I did get over there, it was a really cool situation because, you know, what you want to do when you go to college, you want to go to the places and see what the vibe is. How does it feel, you know? I had gone to Florida State right before going to Howard, and they were kind of cold. And I had went to North Texas, and they were kind of cold too towards me. When I went to Howard, they were like, "Hey man, we're getting ready to have some lunch, man. You want some chicken?" They had a big old bucket of KFC. You know, it was just cool. It just felt like going home. So I was like, "This is the place for me." So that's how I ended up there.
And you studied composition and.
Yeah, jazz composition and arranging with Dr. Report Stone, who also is one of the cats. He studied with the same guy that taught Thad Jones. So when you got stuff like that going on, you be like, whoa, you know, it's all about respect then, you know. Try to learn as much as you can while you're there. Also with Charlie Young, who was one of the few saxophonists who studied privately with Cannonball Adderley. Yeah, so I've been very fortunate.
That's
very fortunate.
That is impressive. Cannonball, something else.
Yeah.
And you then began some traveling, some touring with, as we mentioned, you know, talk about some of the people you toured with. And
Well, I've toured with several people. Some of the main people that I've toured with was Philip Walker. I've toured with Philip Walker. I've done some stuff. Oh man, a lot of kids really crack up when I tell them about my hip hop tour. Oh man, I had some experiences there that I'm not very proud of because of some of the things that they do, you know, but I have done some of that.
you have to know.
And there it is, you know, so I can tell the kids I earned my stripes in that area.
and about, like, talk about Jimmy Heath and Kenny Burrell. I mean, Wynton Marsalis, Frank West, you know, big names.
Yeah, those cats, man, are really, really fun to work with. And you'd be surprised. The cats, like you said, big names, those are the coolest people on the planet because they don't have the kind of hassles and problems that other people do. Because, you know, you know, people respect them. You know what I mean? So it was really, really nice hanging out with those guys and playing with them. You know, good people.
What is Fred? What are you guys going to play when you come to this event on January 21st? What are you planning to do? What's the show going to be like? What are you gonna? The kids know what they're doing. Of course they do, but
well, actually, the kids don't. They don't know what we're playing. In fact, we started working on some music this week because, you know, we had all the way up until the holidays, the Christmas holidays. We just got back from that, and all we did was holiday music then, you know. So we were focusing on that, and now we're just now getting ready to get that together for the Fred Wesley thing. I passed out "There'll Never Be Another You" on Monday. I have a student trumpet player, Tobias Johnson, who's going to be the soloist on that. I don't think he'll mind stepping aside and let Fred play it for that night. So we'll have to get his permission, but I think he'll be okay with that. So I think they know they're going to play that. And then this week coming up, I'm going to pass out some music for them to play.
And it's going to be a lot of soul and funk and.
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, there's this tune called "Love in L.A." that I talked to Fred about, and it looks like we're going to play that. So I'm very excited about that. And then the other day, when I was in the shower, you know, that's a good place to think, right? Most people sing in the shower. I think in the shower. But anyway, I was thinking, maybe I should write out at least one of the James Brown tunes for the kids, because it won't be that hard anyway. So that, you know, Fred can do his thing that he's most famous for, you know. But the main thing I really wanted to do with Fred and the kids, I want to introduce the kids to Fred Wesley for one thing, but I also wanted them to get to some of Fred's music, because a lot of time he's been overshadowed because of the fact that he spent so much time with James Brown.
Once a side man, always a sad man.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
Absolutely, so I thought, maybe we should get some stuff that Fred actually wrote, which is the reason why he and I had the dialogue about this tune called Love in L.A.
What are your thoughts about what you're going to do in the next year or two in terms of your own personal story, in terms of jazz music, and in terms of jazz music education? And they may all be the same thing. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I kind of like to get back to playing a little bit more than I have been lately. The last few years here, I've been focusing mainly on education and mainly on writing big band charts. Those who know me really well know that I write big band charts. And in fact, I'm finishing one now called Strolling, another hard bop, Horace Silver. I'm finishing one right now. In fact, if everything goes right, I'll print that out sometime. I'll start printing out tomorrow. So I've been writing a lot of big band charts. I really would like to start publishing because I think I got like maybe 30, 35 of those things now. So it's time to start heading that direction. And also I would like to get back on my saxophone and start playing a little more.
We'll start calling you Hard Bop Grandpa.
Oh, look out now. There's somebody already got that, and I respect them big time.
Well, Mr. Polson, it's been great to have you here. I really appreciate you coming by, and we'll look forward to the show on January 21st at Cleveland High School auditorium at 6:30 p.m. And ticket information and all kinds of other information will be available on my blog, and we'll make it available wherever we have to make it available like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. We can link one another.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And
the Facebook one also. There's
Hosford's Facebook site. Yeah, that was a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice that the parent decided to spend the time to do that. That was really cool. Staying up with the times.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll end this with Blues March when I put it together. We'll end this with Blues March that I recorded at Hosford that day, and look forward to seeing that show.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenny.
All right.
Okay.